Hello friends, welcome to ValeQuest. I'm Safer Raza, and today we're revisiting a tragedy that not only shocked the world, but also changed the course of space exploration forever: the Challenger Space Shuttle Disaster. On January 28, 1986, millions of people watched as NASA's Space Shuttle Challenger took off into the sky, embarking on its 10th mission. But just 73 seconds after launch, disaster struck. The shuttle exploded mid-air, killing all 7 crew members on board, including Christa McAuliffe, a school teacher who was set to become the first civilian in space. This incident, broadcast live on television, left a deep scar on the world's collective memory. Today, we're diving deep into the events that led up to the launch, the horrific disaster, and the aftermath that would forever change NASA's space program. Let's explore the details of this heartbreaking story. Section 1. The Space Shuttle Challenger, a symbol of hope. The Challenger was NASA's second space shuttle to be built and was seen as a symbol of hope, progress, and exploration. By 1986, Challenger had completed 9 successful missions, and its 10th mission, known as STS-51L, was supposed to be a routine flight. What made this mission unique was the inclusion of Christa McAuliffe, a high school teacher from New Hampshire. She had been selected from thousands of applicants to become the first civilian and teacher to go into space as part of NASA's Teacher in Space project. Her presence on the shuttle drew massive public interest, with schools across America tuning in to watch the historic launch live. For many, this mission represented a bridge between education and space exploration, but excitement soon turned to tragedy. Section 2. The Day of the Disaster. January 28, 1986. It was a cold, crisp morning in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The Challenger's launch had already been delayed several times due to technical issues and weather conditions. But on January 28, 1986, the countdown finally began. At 11:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Challenger lifted off and millions of Americans watched, filled with excitement. The crew of 7 astronauts smiled as they ascended toward the sky, confident in the mission ahead. But just 73 seconds after liftoff, the unthinkable happened. Television cameras caught a horrifying sight as the shuttle suddenly disintegrated in midair. A massive explosion turned the once gleaming shuttle into a fiery ball of smoke and debris, raining down into the Atlantic Ocean. For a moment, the world held its breath. People watching from the ground and on television could barely comprehend what had just happened. It wasn't until NASA's silence and the images of falling debris confirmed the worst. The Challenger had exploded. All 7 crew members aboard had perished. Section 3. The crew members' lives lost. The Challenger crew consisted of 7 brave astronauts, each with their own unique story and contribution to space exploration. Francis R. Scobie, Commander. A highly experienced pilot with over 6,500 flying hours, Scobie was leading the Challenger mission. Michael J. Smith, pilot. A naval aviator who was flying his first shuttle mission. Judith A. Resnick, mission specialist. An electrical engineer and the second American woman in space. Ellison S. Onizuka, mission specialist. The first Asian American astronaut. Ronald McNair, mission specialist. A physicist and the second African American astronaut to go to space. Gregory Jarvis, payload specialist. An engineer working on satellite payloads. Christa McAuliffe, payload specialist. The civilian teacher who was set to teach lessons from space. These 7 astronauts represented the best of humanity's spirit of adventure, and their loss was felt deeply across the world. Section 4. What went wrong? The cause of the disaster. After the initial shock of the disaster, the question everyone was asking was, what went wrong? How could such a catastrophic failure happen? The investigation that followed, led by the Rogers Commission, revealed that the disaster was caused by the failure of an O-ring in the right solid rocket booster. The O-rings were designed to seal the joints of the rocket boosters, but in the cold weather conditions that morning, the O-rings became brittle and failed to properly seal. As a result, hot gases escaped through the joints, causing the rocket booster to detach and ignite the external fuel tank. This chain reaction led to the explosion that destroyed the Challenger. Even more shocking, it was revealed that NASA and contractor Morton Thiokol had been warned about the potential risk of the O-rings in cold temperatures. Several engineers expressed concerns about launching in such conditions, but the warnings were ignored in the push to keep the mission on schedule. This revelation devastated the public and the space community. It wasn't just a tragic accident, it was preventable. Section 5. The Aftermath. NASA's response and changes. The Challenger disaster shook NASA and the entire space industry to its core. Following the tragedy, NASA grounded all space shuttle flights for nearly 3 years to conduct a thorough investigation and implement critical safety improvements. The Rogers Commission report, which investigated the disaster, identified several key failures within NASA's management structure. The culture of rushing to meet deadlines, even at the expense of safety, was called into question. One of the most significant changes made after the Challenger disaster was the redesign of the solid rocket boosters and improvements in safety protocols. NASA also overhauled its communication system to ensure that engineers' concerns would never be ignored again. The lessons learned from the Challenger tragedy became the foundation for a safer and more cautious space program. Section 6. Legacy. Remembering the Challenger crew. The legacy of the Challenger disaster goes beyond the tragedy itself. The Challenger crew is remembered not for how their lives ended, but for the incredible work and dedication they brought to space exploration. In the years following the disaster, memorials have been built across the United States to honor the crew, including the Challenger Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. Schools, streets, and scholarships have been named after the brave astronauts who lost their lives that day. For many, the Challenger disaster served as a sobering reminder of the risks associated with space exploration, but it also reinforced the belief that space is worth exploring, no matter the dangers. Friends, the Challenger disaster was a moment in history that changed the world forever. It reminded us of the incredible bravery of those who venture into the unknown and the importance of never compromising safety in the pursuit of progress. The lessons learned from this tragedy have shaped the way we explore space today. What do you think? Could the Challenger disaster have been avoided, or was it a tragic consequence of pushing the boundaries of space exploration? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story powerful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to VeilQuest. Join me, Safer Raza, and the team as we continue to explore the most captivating and mysterious events from around the world. Until next time, stay curious and take care.